And welcome to the Game Buzz. I'm Matt. I'm joined once again this week by Jonathan Lester.
Hi there.
And by Carl Phillips.
Hello.
And there has been a contentious debate raging around the site this week. I say contentious debate. Basically, lots of people have been getting angry about Windows 8.
And still getting angry about Windows 8. The fact is that everyone was really happy with Windows 7. Everyone had sort of gotten used to it. And then Microsoft brought out the crazy new Metro dashboard that's disconnected from the desktop and unbelievably makes you turn off your computer by pressing the power button.
Yeah. I remember you were
absolutely
amazed. You were absolutely amazed when that happened. I can't believe I just have to press the button, no longer have to go to the
thing is, I had to Google. Yeah, but the thing is, I had to Google it though. I was in there. And I was like, went beforehand when I turned off a PC. I had to press the start button and then press shut down. Well, what the hell do I do now? I Googled it and it just said press the power button on the tower. Idiots.
Yeah, I think it's a case of with Windows 8, they just haven't had like a tutorial, because we have been programmed to do things in a certain way when it comes to Windows for decades.
Yeah, we've almost been
certain
conditioned.
ways.
We've been conditioned into doing actually some fairly counterintuitive things.
Yeah.
Like, the having to press, this is like an old sort of Apple war cry, but having to press the start button to stop everything. We're just used to doing that. So for experienced PC owners, Windows 8 was a real just sort of bizarre new take on things. But apart from the fact that there is this huge disconnect between Metro and the desktop being the thing we use most of all, I do enjoy its fast boot times, and well, I just really enjoy its fast boot times. I like pressing the button and having the being able to play games in the space of about like 20 seconds all told.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all told. That's after loading up everything, loading up all the startup items, updating all the apps and everything like that.
Yeah.
I think it's important we tie this in, because of course it's been tied in to the PC shipment slump this year. The first quarter of 2013, they projected a 7.7 percentage decrease. It was a 13 year-on-year percentage decline, and a lot of this has been blamed on Windows 8 essentially shipping more tablets than PCs. Of course, ironically, that Microsoft have barely shipped any tablets either.
Well, if we're talking about the Surface, yes. I don't know what the totals are for everything else, but yeah, I mean, it's as far as the actual news goes, it's an interesting one in that, people are either blaming Windows 8 directly, or some people are pointing out, well, yeah, we're in a recession, so people perhaps aren't buying as many new PCs or thinking about upgrading because, well, Windows 7 still works quite well. I would still say that Windows 8 is a worthwhile investment and upgrade. But yeah, there are plenty of theories going around. I mean, I don't know what you guys are taking from all of this and what you reckon it is.
I think Windows 8 has had quite a bit of bad publicity. I think that does have something to do with it, because a lot of people are saying, oh, this is just a ridiculous tablet interface. And I kind of see where they're coming from. Like, the Metro dashboard looks nice right up until you try and use it day to day. And I find it to be just to be difficult to break out of the ingrained habits that I've got used to since Windows 3.1.
Yeah.
Trying to remember, oh wait, how do there's no start, there's no taskbar, where are all my items, where are all my open programs, what's happening with these applications. The fact that there are a lot of really poxy apps out for it doesn't help. And yeah, it can be it does have a much higher learning curve, bizarrely, for experienced Windows users than it does for brand new users. Because as you were saying, you've met a whole bunch of people who never really used computers all that much, apart from maybe a little bit of work, and actually find it even more very easy to get used to.
Yeah, I've got someone who bought a new laptop, had Windows 8, and they weren't the most experienced, well, I wouldn't even say that they classify necessarily as a casual computer user, but they said it was the most intuitive version of Windows they'd ever used. Everything was there, everything could be brought up, everything worked, and they could use it. And I know that what I've just been saying, experienced users do have trouble, but at the same time, what is on offer with Windows 8 is, I think, is really, really good in the fact that, yes, if you don't like the Metro tile system, there are mods for the actual OS that you can install. That just shows you the flexibility of the damn thing to begin with, that you can even do that.
Yeah, if you want a start menu and a taskbar, you can actually download some free programs to do that.
Exactly. But for me, I mean, I've gotten used to it. It's a simple case of, yes, I do use the desktop more, but the Metro thing, I do act as my start menu. It's exactly the same as it was before. I press start, there it all comes up. Yes, not everything is there, but then again, when you press the start button on your Windows 7, not everything's there. It's only the most used stuff that you've been recently using, and then you have to go to all programs, and it's all there. It's basically the same thing. It's just we've got to look in a different perspective to see everything, but it's all there. It all works. It's really streamlined, as you've said. It works for gaming. I think people are just ragging on it because it's Windows and it's Microsoft. Personally, I think it works fine. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are issues. They do need to sort out a few things here and there, and they should really come up with a bloody tutorial.
Yeah, there needs to be a much better tutorial rather than just like one screen saying, "Oh, put your cursor to the corner of the screen."
Yeah.
To do anything.
But at the same time, it gives you the experience that you need to for a desktop, and it also offers you the same thing for a tablet. It covers everything. It works. But because, again, this comes down to communication, which is something that we have been ragging on for the last few weeks. Because Microsoft have not successfully communicated this to everybody, it's getting the bad press, and they need to do more, basically.
I completely agree.
Yeah, that's right.
And the thing is, the point about communication is incredibly well made. They marketed Windows 7 very well. I remember when the adverts came out for Windows 7, and they riffed on what Apple was doing. And they had the guy saying, my Windows 7 is this awesome dual clicky screen where I can like put something to that side, put something to that side. I was like, I really want that.
Yeah,
and I did. And it's so useful. It's really simple and really useful. But that Microsoft managed to convey that Windows 7 was full of these really simple but really useful designs and techniques that you could use to make your life easier. And that's why Windows 7 sold brilliantly. Also, it was just the non-broken Vista.
It wasn't Vista.
Yeah, it wasn't Vista. The main thing is that it wasn't Vista running on Service Pack 1.
But they haven't sold... They just haven't successfully conveyed why you should upgrade, because the upgrade sales haven't been great.
Yeah.
And people, this has been mentioned on the comment thread as well, people are sitting on their hands with regard to PC hardware. Like, you don't really need to upgrade, and Microsoft haven't really pushed that enough.
Yeah, that's another thing as well. This whole thing is a combination of factors. I do think the negative publicity surrounding Windows 8 has a lot to do with it, but there are, we are in the middle of a recession. Games that are coming out are focusing on scalability rather than raw graphics potential. So there isn't these days the need to go out and buy a whole new gaming system. You might just need to upgrade your graphics card a little bit to play something on medium or high settings. And more to the point, at the moment, if your PC works, I mean, why buy a new version of Windows, buy a new PC when the thing you've got already works and plays all the games that you want to play?
So true.
So
they haven't come across to say why they should. I mean, there are a number of pros for doing so. I mean, as you've said, it's a streamlined experience. I mean, you've talked about the NVIDIA experience and the fact that it makes sure that everything's running and it's got your drivers up to date and everything else, where that wouldn't necessarily be the case with Windows 7.
Well, if you're using it as a pure gaming, NVIDIA GeForce Experience works on Windows 7 as well. But
right.
The whole point is that if you're just using your PC as a games machine, which is what I use my Windows 8 PC for, it's actually really useful because you You boot it up. It takes 20 seconds. It's right. You're right there. The OS, I think, is much more sort of resource and system friendly than Windows 7 was.
Yes,
It seems
is.
to use well, admittedly, my Windows 8 PC is much more powerful than my Windows 7 PC, but it seems the OS seems to require a lot less, just in terms of grunt, just to keep it running. Allowing you to just, put more of that horsepower towards playing your games. And you just boot it up, 20 seconds, your games are all there on the Metro dashboard, you click the big old square and start playing.
Yeah, I think the moral of all of this is, Microsoft needs to communicate more.
Yeah, well,
better,
we've been banging on about that for weeks now. Microsoft just needs to just engage with us and tell us things rather than putting the old occasional rip-off Apple advert out and just quietly not saying anything to anyone and relying on tweets from PR personnel to perpetuate loads of stupid rumors.
Speaking of Microsoft,
yes.
I suppose we'll briefly touch on the the hilarious rumor mill of the week. One thing that isn't rumor, one thing they have done, they've sold Media Room, and they're going to be realigning their focus on their Xbox project as an entertainment hub. We already kind of knew that was going to happen.
They're already doing it with the 360, so
yes.
that's hardly surprising.
But it is telling. That's the one concrete thing we have. That's literally one concrete thing.
Oh yeah, but as always, we've got loads of potentially scurrilous, unverified, anonymous sources, rumors.
Of course.
Yay!
Which one are we going to do first? Do you want to do the backwards compatibility one first?
Yeah, let's do backwards.
Yeah, let's do the backwards compatibility one. Apparently, maybe, according to people who may or may not be close to the project, the next-gen Xbox will not be backwards compatible with Xbox 360 games.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
No, because, and more to the point, I mean, if this generation had only lasted 4 to 5 years, I think backwards compatibility would have been a huge deal. But we're kind of all just want this next generation now. We're all getting just a little bit bored and a little bit tired of this one. Like, the fact is, we want the next generation to kick a load of ass. We're going to be super excited about those games. And keeping our old Xbox around to play our old games on, I don't think it's going to be a huge hassle, frankly. I don't think backwards compatibility is anywhere near as important for this next generation as it was for the last one.
No, and the thing is, everyone's all the reports are suggesting that Microsoft are going back to the sort of architecture format that they used for the original Xbox, that sort of x86 format, rather than the current one they're using for Xbox 360. It's the same with the PS4, going back to essentially what is PC architecture to make development easier. And so it stands to reason that it's incredibly expensive and difficult to do hardware-based backwards compatibility.
Well, you'd have to just put 360 hardware into the box,
exactly,
which is going to increase the cost. And as people have commented on site, it would theoretically be possible to do software emulation, but for a top-flight Xbox 360 game or even a PS3 game for the PS4, the amount of grunt you'd need to do that is actually fairly substantial.
Agreed.
Like, it's not like running WinUAE or something like that. Not that I'd ever run anything like that.
I mean, we know Sony have Gaikai. It's just going to be interesting to see what Microsoft come out with. I think it's going to be most interesting to see how. I'm kind of sorry it comes down to this, but how they monetize it. Because do they end up providing software or streaming-based backwards compatibility in as a sort of new tier or reimagining of Xbox Live Gold or?
Well, Xbox Live Gold is just going to have a massive rethink, isn't it? Because Sony are going to come out swinging and say, look, guys, it's free. And actually, this generation, we've got, a decent online infrastructure. We've learnt our lessons from the last generation. We've actually got a really good store. We've got a service that works properly. It's free, but if you want to play a bit more, you'll get loads of free stuff. And Microsoft can't fall back on saying, well, party chat. So, pay £30 a year, please. So, yeah, they're going to have to look at that very carefully and say, what new extra awesome value-packed bonuses can we offer And they'll have to incentivize it rather than say pay this or play alone. And if it's always online, if the always online rumors come to fruition, then getting people to pay to use the only benefits of being always online would go down like a lead balloon.
Actually, speaking of always online, something that was something I picked up on the other day. I was having a chat with someone across Twitter, which is dangerous these days.
Yeah, you must do that. Get fired.
Just
Allegedly.
like, do we think hypothetically? This is a completely hypothetical situation. But if the consoles, all of the next gen consoles, they won't be. If they were all online, do you reckon that would force infrastructure to develop faster? Because obviously it's a sort of catch-22 situation. I mean, the infrastructure's crap, so we can't have always online. But maybe if we did have always online, it would force ISPs to develop themselves.
It would depend. It would obviously depend on one company taking that first step, because once one company does, then the others have to follow suit. Otherwise, they just lose business.
But I think what you'd see is just more companies bringing out, hey, pay a bit extra for super extreme gamer internet. Yeah, you like your games, you got always online. Yeah, you want to pay us for super awesome, really fast internet. You only have to pay a bit extra and it's fine. Also have these TV channels thrown in. And yeah, I mean, I can't see them doing it for free.
Oh no. That's the other thing. It's cost.
Yeah.
Because someone's obviously got to develop it. Well, they've clearly got it. They just don't want to put it in because, well, that would mean digging up roads, replacing stuff, and everything else. I think it's got to be a case of, if they were to all go always online, if all the consoles did that, then it would just take one company to actually go, yeah, let's take advantage of this. We can get some more money. But of course, you've got to spend money to make money.
Exactly. And that's, making money is what the next generation is going to be all about. But yeah, Microsoft may, according to even more rumors, be looking to make money off a couple of big hitters in their launch lineup, one of which we've known about for donkey's years. Ryse. Finally, Ryse might be sort of coming out of the skunk works.
Yeah, maybe.
Because we've known about Crytek's Ryse, which is a first-person medieval hack-and-slash combat game from Crytek that's fully motion controlled.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it in years. It got announced a few E3s back and then just totally dropped off the radar. Allegedly, now it may be the Xbox, the next-gen Xbox's big Gears/Halo-esque killer launch title, which would be brave if it's Kinect-enabled.
Well, if every single new Xbox is coming with a Kinect, then that's not a problem, is it?
It's not. Well, it's not a problem, and it's something they'd have to do, because if it is coming, if Kinect 2.0 is a core part of the experience, which we pretty much know that it will be, they do absolutely have to bring out a killer app at launch that says, "Look, this isn't a gimmick. This is awesome."
Makes sense though, as well.
It does make sense. Crytek were in a position to offer a game like that hopefully with the increased accuracy of Kinect 2.0. Yeah, they need a big exclusive like this to sort of sell it, show it off. And yeah, there may also be a Forza game. Because, Xbox.
That's the bit I'm interested in, to be honest. Love me some Forza.
But those are rumors, and we may now have to wait until May 21st until the worldwide reveal, or that might be a lie.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
they'll get to that.
That itself is a rumor.
Yep.
It's so close to E3. What are you doing, Microsoft?
Yeah.
Oh god. And
Sony
please don't put microtransactions in Halo unless it's for like really cosmetic. Well, actually no, just don't put microtransactions in Halo.
You sure you could pay to have that that helmet? That
no,
nice helmet?
I like the ranking system.
So easy.
It's so awesome. Don't spoil it.
Just £5.
Yeah, the ranking system is one of the most. Ever since Halo 3, the ranking system and the unlock system has been one of the most compelling parts of the experience, and having to shell out for bits of that. Having to shell out for bits of that might be all right. I mean, I don't hugely see necessarily the problem if I can rank up and get the helmet, or if I was incredibly drunk which I think would be the only situation where I'd ever consider doing this. Say, oh, maybe I'll spend a few Microsoft points or real money on getting that particular helmet because I want it and I'll never get it. Because we're getting that in, we're playing Halo 4 and thinking, I want that Venator helmet. I want that Venator helmet so bad.
Thing is, wouldn't you
but
feel...
I can't ever get it.
You'd feel bad, though. Would you feel...
You would.
I'd feel a bit dirty.
You would. And there'd be like maybe a big dollar sign on the top of it as well.
Yeah.
Showing that you... Yeah, but I don't think... I think, to be honest, microtransactions are okay. They can be okay when they're done well. When they allow you to pick and choose and cherry pick bits of a game that you want and unlock bits that you want. I think that can be okay, but I do hate seeing them integrated into fully fledged, actual full price games. That does rankle. That does get my hackles up and gets a lot of gamers' hackles up. So hopefully, just hopefully we'll see, but perhaps even being able to pay for particular maps rather than big map packs or something like that. I don't know.
That'd be nice. But it would be difficult to do in terms of matchmaking, I suppose.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
Yes, it would. But I think microtransactions done well can be okay and can broaden an experience and can be good value sometimes.
You see, the more you mention it, the more... and I am thinking about that Dead Spacey Venator helmet. It's so awesome. The more I think about it, the more I think, I might be lured. The dark side would be there. It's like, I don't want to do this. No, I'll be selling. I'll be literally selling out. But it's so badass.
And it would be so easy.
And it would be so easy for them to do, and it would... well, look, Halo 5 hasn't even been announced yet, so let's just see what happens, guys.
I'll tell you what I would pay for. I would pay for a freaking dogfighting section. Like, stop trolling us with these awesome little combat flight bits, and just give us an arena we can dogfight in.
Yeah, just put loads of Banshees in Season 2, please. Season 2 of Spartan Ops.
Yes.
Just do that. Just give us that, and we'll probably have to pay for that. So, and we will pay for that if it's awesome.
Make it awesome.
Yeah, make it awesome.
Right, let's move away completely from Microsoft and let's go over to Bethesda. Because Bethesda, to be fair, they haven't actually said a huge amount this week.
No, but hilariously they've said they've sort of teasing of a reveal. What they've said is, we are going to be making loads of noise this year. We're going to be revealing stuff. We're going to be making much more noise than we did last year. We're making noise about it now. We're making noise about the noise. And then we're going to be making these huge, big reveals that are going to blow you away. And you can't know what they are yet.
Nope.
No, but there are a few possibilities. They have, of course, extended the trade markers on Prey 2. We just need that game so badly. It's very important that game comes out and they sort out whatever problems were happening behind the scenes and to cause that to slump into development hell last year. It could be Fallout 4, which is heavily tipped to take place in Boston, surrounding MIT. It's not going to be the next Elder Scrolls game. Sorry, but it ain't. We're going to have to wait like half a decade for that, and that's fine.
You knows it.
Yeah. And it's almost certainly not going to be Doom 4, because as we know, that's been completely repurposed. But it could be, I don't know, there's been a lot of people suggesting that perhaps Dishonored could get a sequel. I don't feel necessarily that it needs one, but I'd probably play one.
I'll tell you something.
What?
Playing Bioshock Infinite has made me appreciate just how awesome Dishonored was. And the thing is, I'm really psyched for the new DLC where you get to play as Dowd. Just like it's really great. Dunwall is a great setting. It's a great world that I wish we could have explored more of, and the DLC is allowing us to do that. So I reckon, yeah, hell yeah, a sequel could be in the works. The great thing is once you've created a fantastic world, you can literally do anything with it. There's loads of possibility for that. They just got to be imaginative and inventive about it. And
indeed. The other thing, of course, is Shinji Mikami works for Bethesda now. And he's been working on something for ages. So we're probably going to find out about whatever the heck he's actually doing this year.
The I completely agree with the point on Prey 2. I want that game. Every time I sort of it's one of the it's sort of the one that got away. It's like it's the Great White Buffalo of games.
And it is a Great White Buffalo. Because thing is though, we went to E3 and we just a couple of years ago now, and we just weren't ready for it to be as awesome as it was. Because yeah, they revealed it just before E3, and we were like, oh cool, a Prey sequel, how quaint. And then we saw it running, and we were like, oh my god, this is free form. It was basically a lot like Dishonored, but with aliens and jetpacks.
And Blade Runner-esque.
And and sort of almost cyberpunk neon tinted alien bounty hunting.
Like, read Tom's preview. It's really good.
Read all of our previews. We previewed the hell out of it.
Yeah, I go back and read it every so often, and I really shouldn't, because it makes me hunger for that game.
Yep, and we need it. Or, as we said last week, farm the license out to Disney and replace the lead character with Boba Fett. Come on, he's a jetpack-equipped bounty hunter. How difficult could it be?
And we'd all buy it.
Hell yeah, we'd all buy it.
We'd all buy it.
Yeah.
Bethesda UK's PR guru, Pete Hines, was in the news this week, touching on a subject that we've covered a little bit, but I want to briefly retouch on, suggesting that parts of the gaming audience don't understand Day One DLC. Now, this is a complaint BioWare made around Mass Effect 3. We're gonna get to you, BioWare. With the idea being that development on a game finishes, they send it away to go gold, and then there's 3 to 4 weeks or so where they're not doing anything, and so
exactly.
they start making
they might
DLC.
as well make some stuff, and they can only then deliver that digitally, which is going to have to almost always come with a cost attached to it. And I don't think there's anything hugely wrong with that, in theory.
I think
in theory,
yeah, it's the difference between Day One DLC and on disc DLC.
Yeah, on disc DLC is indefensible. Like, yeah, sometimes a few assets
From Ashes.
Now, From Ashes was a just totally not the way to do Day One DLC, because if a Mass Effect had this extra little bit of extra fluff that you could get with a pre-order or a special edition that didn't affect anything hugely, but gave you maybe a couple of extra weapon upgrades and an hour or two of extra content, fair enough. But not an entire character who actually almost underpins the game in parts. A character who is so unbelievably important, who gives you such a huge insight into the lore behind the Mass Effect universe, that he's practically an essential part of the game. And the story was almost, in many ways was almost built around him. Like, withholding that as Day One DLC, I think was still frankly disgusting. Although then again, I got the special edition, so yeah. You didn't. Sorry about that. And if you don't have From Ashes, you also won't get to experience the very best and most awesome moments in Mass Effect 3 Citadel. I'm afraid. You get to meet a certain jellyfish super cop.
Is that only possible through From Ashes?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What? What? I was so psyched about Citadel. I'm so not psyched. You bastards! Oh.
There's still a lot of good stuff in that, but no jellyfish super cop for you, buddy. You know the one I mean.
I know the one you mean.
I almost hate to tell you this as well, but not only do you get to meet him, but you get to say something to him.
No.
You get to say a thing.
No.
A particular thing you get to say to this particular Hanar Super Cop. Oh yes. From Ashes. Consume it now.
Don't ever do that again, EA.
Consume it.
The thing is, Day One DLC, we can understand there's a disconnect. There's there's a sort of 3 to 6 weeks of free fall. Like, creatives need to create. They're not doing anything. That's fine. If it's on the disc, we're coming for you.
Yeah, exactly. We will gun for you because it's already there. You've made it, and all you're doing is getting a game that costs £40 and then selling on extra bits of the game that are already already designed, and just the analogy that's most commonly used is just holding it hostage. You've made it, and it's just being held hostage until you pay extra money to get the bits of the game that are already there. I think that's frankly indefensible, unless, of course, you reduce the RRP.
See,
Sod it. If you send it out for 25 quid, okay, fine. Let us buy the extra bolt on the extra bits then, and round it up to the amount that a full game would cost.
See,
okay.
I think they got it right with Mass Effect 2, though, with Zaid's. It was like that was the incentive to buy the game brand new.
Yes, that's
if they'd done
true.
the same thing with From Ashes, it would have been fine, and it would have gotten them loads of people.
Zaid was fun, but ultimately forgettable. He doesn't affect the lore in any particular way, but he's a laugh, quite a cool character in his own right, and isn't a Prothean, the only living Prothean in the Mass Effect universe.
Yes.
What the fuck?
I think Hines makes a good point though. Like later on, I think it's a matter of the DLC that you create.
Yeah, of course.
I think companies need to be a little bit less cynical about creating DLC. I mean, you look at Skyrim's Dragonborn. You look at and EA, you're doing it yourself. Look at Battlefield 3. That's some damn fine DLC right there. Like, that is some seriously good shit. Like, you take your time, you make it big, you sell it at a premium price point for DLC because it's worth it. Everybody wins. We fucking love it because it prolongs what's already awesome. It reinvents what's already awesome, like by giving everyone their own tank. Just so great. So great.
Yeah, it really is.
And
although I still think that it would have been better as a multiplayer only game. Just putting it out there.
Agree, but the thing is, like, after 2 weeks after release, everyone fucking forgot Rat Stab anyway. Like,
yeah, but they paid extra for it. But yeah, and it required a lot of money to create and ship, and they could have released it at lower RP. But this is all in an article, and I've ranted about this idea before. But yes, Day One DLC is.
John, you've turned into a robot.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's Robot John.
You turned into a robot.
No, Say does not compute.
Does not compute.
Oh my god.
I'm a zombie motherfucker. Am I auto-tuning or am I roboting?
You're auto-tuning. Say, Shawty!
Shawty!
Oh shit! Get your towels ready.
Do you believe in life after love?
This is terrifying.
This is.
I believe thing inside myself.
I knew it was only a matter of time before Cher appeared.
God's turned into Cher. Does that make you Sonny?
Oh god, I hope not.
Yep, Carl's Sonny. We got Sonny and Cher in the house.
Sweet.
Oh wait, I think John's gone back to normal now.
I think he's back to normal.
Back to normal.
Yeah.
You're back to normal.
Sweet.
So where were we? We were talking about.
We were talking about Bethesda Day One DLC. I think we're done with that. I want to touch on one last thing before we go.
We should probably at least kind of like mention that Dark Souls 2 is definitely a thing that is very Dark Soulsy.
Yes, Dark Souls 2 is a thing.
It's
definitely a thing.
That are things.
We knew it was a thing, but now you can watch a bunch of gameplay and see how
and see how you die by
it's
bridge.
Going to brutalize you.
Prepare to die again.
Prepare to die again. Die harder with or without a vengeance.
I still need to play Dark Souls. I think I'm going to give that a go.
I really want to get back into. I really want to get back into Dark Souls. I just couldn't. The problem is with Demon Souls as well. I couldn't quite shake the idea that the game was artificially trying to be too difficult rather than empowering me with all the skills for the only deciding factor in the game to be my level of skill. Yeah. If you see what I mean. But there's a really richly designed, deep, fantastic world there just waiting to be explored. I can see it, I can identify it, and I just want to like it more than I do. So I'm going to make a real effort to do that before Dark Souls 2 comes out.
I want From to combine with Capcom to create Dragon's Souls.
And I also want them to keep working on the next Armored Core game. Verdict Day. Hell yeah.
Max. So yeah, that's a thing. As John said, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon.
Yeah, Ubisoft basically just came out swinging and said, look, we are making a game that doesn't take itself seriously. It's a downloadable extra bit of Far Cry Light, that it's this big area of open world that you'll explore, you'll hunt, you'll liberate garrisons, do all the Far Cry 3 stuff, but it's basically designed to be a stupid, terrible, straight to VHS 80s action film. There's neon everywhere, there's loads of extras wearing hockey pants and like terrible props made of cobbled bits of old toaster. It's got truly hilarious dialogue, scan lines everywhere. You throw instead of rocks, you throw enormous flaming D20s around because tabletop gaming is totally rad. Every gun that can fire lasers does fire lasers, and so do the dragons, because yes, there are mutant cyber cassowaries knocking around and cyber sharks, but there are enormous dragons who blast omega lasers out of their eyes. And not only can you fight them, you can lure them around and use them to attack enemy bases by ripping out cyborg hearts from your dead enemies and throwing them around. And you know what? It's incredibly stupid. It's incredibly dumb. Ubisoft have apparently worked painstakingly hard at making a game that's so bad it's good. And you know what? From the 45 minutes of it I played, it's just such a laugh. It's just such a good laugh. But the other game they announced at the sort of recent Digital Days event that I went to was a Flashback reboot. Flashback. We've been waiting 20 years for more Flashback. And I don't count Fade to Black, that was arse. Fade to Black was crap. Sorry, I'm just putting it out there.
It was.
But it was, wasn't it? It was, no. But Flashback was truly excellent, a truly brilliant platformer, and timeless because of its still really smooth animations and almost rotoscoped graphical style.
Yeah.
And yeah, Paul Cuisset of Flashback fame, the original creator, has decided to create the game that he always sort of imagined in his head but didn't have the technology to realize now on PSN and XBLA. So now there's loads of voice acting, it runs in the Unreal Engine, there's twin stick shooting, there's what appears to be quite a bit of padding, and I think that it's difficult to make a judgment call on this one yet, but the fact is it looks like Flashback. They've done a brilliant job of like revamping the visuals. But whether or not it feels like Flashback, especially because of the tone of the sort of too cool for school Nathan Drake tone of Conrad, which is not something I never saw him as being this sort of sarcastic, cool character in Flashback. I saw him as being actually quite a vulnerable character myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a bit scared of the fact that he's in the middle of an insane jungle and then urban jungle where everyone wants to kill him and he has no memory and also aliens. Like, no, apparently he just belts out some wisecracks. He's loving it. So yeah, we've also got to bear in mind that, of course, Vector Cell and Mr. Cuisset himself made Amy.
No, we don't.
Matt loved Amy. Yeah.
They made Amy.
Talking about how good that was.
We can't walk away from this. So hopefully this will almost atone for Amy's sins, but there's a lot riding on this, and I think from what I played at least, there's a lot of the mystery has been lost. You know, there's arrows on the map, there's a map on screen telling you sort of where to go to your next objective, there are fetch quests in it. It's going to be interesting to see whether they pull it off. And we may find out in the summer, because even though they weren't willing to discuss release dates, when I completed the section, there was a very quick screen that popped up saying coming in the summer before I got tapped on the shoulder and said, you didn't see anything. So summer is when it's probably coming out.
I do remember the last time Paul Cuisset made a game, we were all really excited about it. People were like, this looks really interesting. There's some innovative mechanics in here. Like, we'll forgive the graphical styles because it's quite early on, but yeah, this looks really. No, it was balls. It was talking about
Shaq Fu, right?
Yeah,
obviously,
and also
Amy.
That. Oh yeah, Amy too.
Like, I think you just didn't get it, Matt.
You just weren't. Look, we've already covered this. You weren't playing it right.
Yeah.
So it was too hard for you, and you suck, and you didn't get it. and you should be ashamed of
You
yourself.
don't own a PS3, man. You don't know.
You don't know.
You
don't know how it. You weren't there. You were just. It was too hard for you. You just didn't get it. It was a great game. It wasn't a shit game. It wasn't broken. It was just hard. It was
so
really
horrible.
so. Yeah. So look, Amy aside, I think we. I'm afraid may have to remain just a little bit wary of this Flashback reboot at the moment, because it does certainly feel a bit more like a expect very, very simplistic RPG elements as well, because I have no idea. So, I think we have to remain a bit wary about this until we can decide, take it in its entirety and say, A, does this retain the spirit of Flashback? And B, is it a decent game in its own right? And either one would be okay. Both would be preferable. Either one would be okay. I interviewed one of the co-writers who thinks that, who has worked really hard on trying to get the story right. So watch this space, basically, guys. And, read our coverage. It's up on site.
Do tune in tomorrow, because we'll be chatting about what we've been playing this week, along with some Star Wars lovage. And until then, thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.